So we got a new movie just to come out, and it was touch and go because we didn't know if we were going to be able to do this because of COVID stuff. But we ended up,
Right.
Mike, you went and saw it.
Yep.
It was the theater crowded.
It was not. There was.
That's
It's
good.
a pretty big theater, and I'd say there was maybe 20 people in there
Okay.
with me.
What time did you go?
I went late afternoon.
Okay, and you had masked up, and we went.
Yeah, I
We
wore
saw.
the mask the whole time.
Yeah,
It did. I was wearing a pretty restrictive mask, so it did start getting a little uncomfortable towards the end, but I made it.
yeah, safety first.
Yep.
We went to a theater in. For listeners, I live in the DC region. We went to a theater in Arlington, I think, and it was packed.
Really?
Yeah, it was
What
full
time
of
did you
people.
go?
7:30.
Okay.
So it was full of people, but some people were masked, some people weren't. But we're pretty heavy vaccinated up here, so I'm not too as worried as I would be down there. But still, it was still I'm still thinking like, man, I don't know. And we can talk more about that later. But listen, Mike, Shang-Chi is getting amazing reviews. It's 94 in Rotten Tomatoes,
Oh,
92 I think, and like the Rotten Tomatoes score isn't going down. It's actually staying the same, which is very rare.
yeah.
It's getting, accolades and everything else. Now, I'm very curious. I kind of feel like you didn't like this movie. Did you like it?
I liked it, but I don't know if I liked it as much as I was hoping I would.
Okay,
I may
okay.
have messed myself up. I may have
Hyped, too
taken
hyped.
I may have taken a seat in the theater that was like too close to the screen.
Oh yeah, yeah. How close were you?
Um, I was pretty close.
You
I don't
might,
know if
yeah.
your
That's not
theater's like
comfortable.
mine, but there's this section of seats that are at the very front, and then there's the hallway that runs behind them.
Hmm.
Then you have like a row of seats right along the hallway, and then you have like the stadium seating after that. I
I'm
was
trying.
in that row of seats right along the hallway.
So yeah, you had pretty. Yeah, it wasn't a
So
great angle. Yeah,
it was I was really, really close.
we had those recliner seats. Those I don't know if you guys have those where you like push
Yeah,
a
I've got
button.
yeah.
And it's so nice. Like, listen, I know people say that watching movies at home is better than a theater, but I don't think that's true. Like, those seats are super comfortable, and like the
You
sounds are
gotta
always.
upgrade your seats, man. You gotta
Yeah,
upgrade your seats
maybe,
at home.
maybe. Well,
Yeah.
okay, let's get into it. How we want to start? Let me give a plot preview, and then we'll just get started. So, for spoiler alert, if you have not seen Shang-Chi, this is going to spoil it completely because we're going to talk about every angle of it.
Right.
Um, so Shang-Chi is a young man. His father was a conqueror of some sort, and he had like these 10 rings that he had some superpowers with. He's 1,000 years old. And he eventually fell in love with like I guess you can call her a martial arts princess, like something close to that. And then
Yeah.
they fell in love. They
Imagine
had
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yes, which we definitely will talk more about, which is so good. They had a baby that has two babies. She's murdered. He avenges a murder, but then he kind of infuses his anger and wrath on his son, and like the son became vengeful as well. Shang-Chi learns to be an assassin. He goes off at 14 and kills his first person, and then freaks out and never comes back and lives in San Francisco, I guess, for a long time. And then
Right.
all of a sudden, his father wants him back, and so he sends assassin after him, and hijinks ensue. We've got dragons. We've got weird little things with wings. It looks like two butts. we have we have Trevor from Iron Man 3 that shows up. What's his name? Sir God, what's his name? What's the actor's name?
Oh, Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, Bean Kingsley shows up. We've got car chases in a forest. We get like huge dragons. We get all kinds of stuff. Lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. This movie packs it in. And I had a great time watching this movie.
You enjoyed it a lot.
Yes.
How are the fight scenes? I guess that's probably what I missed out on the
Yeah, let's
most,
start.
just being as close as I was.
Yeah, the fight. So the fight scenes I thought were choreographed very well. My biggest problem is that maybe it's a Marvel thing or maybe it's a a Disney thing, but they didn't really want to get as brutal into the fight scenes as they could have. I thought the fight scenes were fun. Like they have classic fight scenes. So first of all, the fight scene on the bus, I think is probably one of the most fun fight scenes Marvel's ever put together. because it's long, but also the bus is very kinetic. So it's driving down the
Right.
street. The driver's knocked out, and then you have Katie, played by Aquafina, is like trying to drive the bus, and she's confused, and it's a huge fight scene. It's tearing up the bus. So
And she
that
has
fight,
no idea what's going on.
yeah, that's great. It's just so
She didn't
good.
know Sean could do any of
Do
that.
all that, yeah. And so it's just like really lots of like action and stuff. I thought the bus scene was great, and I
Yeah,
thought
I
the fight.
definitely agree. I think that was probably the best fight scene in the movie.
I thought the fight scene on the building in Macau with the scaffolding, that's kind of a callback to old kung fu movies.
Yeah, Jackie Chan's done that.
Yeah, and like I thought it was fun, but I thought it also could have been a lot more fun. They didn't
Right.
push it as hard as I wanted to really push it. But then after that,
Yeah.
we get
Also, I don't think bamboo cracks that easily.
well, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, in the Jackie Chan movies, I remember it like bending over a lot. And
yeah, that's true. Well, I think this movie was, even though it did have a lot of magical elements, it was more in the realm of realism than most kung fu movies do, which is because a lot of the physics and graphic, like a lot of the physics of kung fu movies usually are a little more absurd, and I think this movie was more focused. But that's it. That's the only really too big. There's a couple other fight scenes at the end, but like as far as like hand combat, like you're not going to get a whole bunch, and I think that's a missed opportunity. I think that the Shang-Chi sequels, and by the way, there will be Shang-Chi sequels. I think those will have a lot more action in it. But again, it's a PG movie, so you can only do so much.
I mean, Jackie Chan was in a lot of PG movies, I think.
No.
No?
Well, I mean, the PG, like I don't think China has the same kind of ratings as we do.
Well, we rate them before we allow them. Like,
yeah, but we haven't had like most of them show in China first, and then they come here.
Yeah,
and I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know. Anyway,
anyway, yeah, I think I was expecting more fights.
And we didn't get a lot of those.
The bus fight was great. The fight on the bamboo scaffolding seemed like there were too many cuts in that fight for me.
Okay. Yeah.
When I'm watching fighting, I don't like seeing cuts, and that's one thing that like Jackie Chan and all of them did a great job of, is you can actually see the fight because they're really doing it.
Yeah, and there's one scene
they're not doing a lot of cutting the way like Western movies do.
There's one scene in the fight where Shang-Chi is fighting that the main assassin dude in blue. He's not from the comics, by the way, but he has the knives and stuff like that. And I saw real quick. It was real quick. So whenever people do kung fu movies and fight movies, usually they do a couple different things to make it faster. So they speed up the actual film of it, so they're moving faster than it looks. But also they'll do these cuts, like you mentioned, but the cuts are different. It's like they'll cut in the middle of a fight. They kind of edit in the middle of the fight, and you very rarely see it. But I definitely saw a scene where Shang-Chi kicked, but then it kind of cut in the middle of it, and you can kind of see where they edited it. That's sloppy, but it's like you have to watch a lot of fight movies to really even see that. But I thought that fight was excellent. I thought
so like they'll speed up a punch or a kick by cutting in the middle of it, so you see the beginning of the kick, and then they cut to the end of the kick.
Yeah, or they'll do like they'll choreograph or they'll film this fight scene 4 different times, and then they'll edit. They'll take the best from all 4 and put them together, and you could just see the seams in that point. But I thought that fight was great, and but the thing is, like, I think the movie never gave us like. I know his father was supposed to be his equal or the guy who's better fighter than he was, but that was involved in the rings. That was a little different. We never get a scene where Shang-Chi is fighting someone that could be like better than him or his equal, right? And we never get a place where we're thinking, oh man, this is the fight we've been waiting for. We didn't really get that, which is fine. I mean, maybe that's not the movie one. And the movie's doing so much. The movie's lifting heavy stuff. Like the movie is creating a whole new story. It's probably the best origin story of any Marvel movie ever made. This is the best origin story they've ever done. It's brilliant. And you know, we've got
Iron Man.
I would say kind of yes. It's like I was way more interested into it because I guess I'm in a different world, and I didn't, and maybe because I didn't know what they were going to do with the Shang-Chi origin. But yeah, I can't complain about the script. I can't complain about the plot at all, and I usually would, but I can't. I just can't. Like you really have to dig to hate this movie. And I can't wait for it to get streaming. I'll watch this 4 or 5 times.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna rewatch it as soon as it hits streaming.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. What? So what? So you said you had some issues. What's the thing that you think bothered you the most? Like the lack of fighting. There wasn't as much fighting.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
we've kind of hit on it already. It's
yeah.
just the amount of fighting and then how many cuts they have in their fight scenes.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Simu Liu or however you say his name. I don't know how to say his name.
Right.
Simu Liu, maybe.
I'm gonna work on it. It's hard.
Um,
Hey, I got. Is I'm gonna say Simu Liu. Simu.
he's probably not really that great of a fighter, you know. So
Yeah, but he is, dude. I loved him in that movie. I thought he was great.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
that's
I
right.
guess there's only so much you can expect
Yeah, that's true. But that's
out
true,
of the
hundred
fight
percent.
scenes, but
Yeah,
he did good in the bus scene.
yeah, he did, he did. And you
Yeah.
know what? Shout out to Aquafina, dude. I never liked her in anything I've seen her in, and she's always been a little annoying. But she was fantastic in this movie. She was
Yeah.
just every time I saw her on the screen, it was fun. She really did a good job. She did a great job. Like I feel like I've missed something with her. Like I feel like she just nailed this character. Like she nailed this character perfectly. And like
Yeah.
the Simu and Aquafina's chemistry was perfect. I
Yeah.
thought like I don't know if they're going to try to do a romance thing with them. I don't know if they're
It
going to
seems
do
like
it.
it's a platonic relationship,
We don't. Yeah, I think it
but
might be
it
one of those places.
starts to blur the lines a little bit towards the end.
Well, I'm thinking like maybe they're going to let it blossom naturally. Like over
Yeah.
time, they can grow into each other and become like lovers. But right now, they're just trying to figure out who they are and what's going on. And I like
Hmm.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't have to. We didn't have to force our romance. We just get to
Right.
see like people being themselves, which I thought was so great. I think the arrow part where she shoots the arrow is a little bit much, but I'll let it slide.
She's a
Um,
born natural.
yeah.
You know,
I'll let that go.
she hit the
Um,
bullseye on her first shot.
yeah. But like
So,
so in movies and so just for the listeners, I think the listeners know by now that I'm a professor of creative writing.
mhm.
The Aquafina was the character. It's we don't really call them. It's not an official name, but it's the person that represents the audience. So you have someone who's normal who gets thrown into this crazy world, and they react to it the same way we will, and
Mm,
they get to ask the questions that we would ask. It's a
right.
classic trope, but Aquafina nailed it. She did a really good job with this. My favorite scene is when he says, "I'm going to Macau," and then she's like, "Well, tell me on the plane, Sean," and he's like, you're not going. She's like, she screams, "Tell me on the plane, Sean," and closes the door. And I'm like, that's the way an argument works. It's like you don't have this crazy back and forth and all this kind of like different scripts. You have someone yelling at each other, and then
Hmm.
like they just do it. And I thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
Shout out to Aquafina.
While we're talking about Aquafina and Katie, her character, is Katie in the comics at
No,
all?
no, no,
Okay.
no, no, no.
That's what I was figuring she was something new added in
Yeah,
here.
I'm sure you have a list of questions about that. We'll get to that in a second. But no, she's
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
What else? One more thing. I thought that Tony Chow Ling, the guy who played the
I think
quote
that's the
unquote
one.
Mandarin, the father, I thought he did an
Yeah.
excellent job. Very handsome man, very handsome man. Um, and I thought all the
Any
actors
other
were great.
handsome men you want to call out in this movie?
No, no, Simu and Tony, they're both handsome. That's good.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
I love that scene where where like Shang-Chi is shirtless and then Kay looks at him and she's like, huh. You know?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
It's like it's like it's very soft. If I had a problem is with the sister. I don't I think she's
Chai
fine.
Ling.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think she's fine. In the comics, she actually has a bunch of sisters and brothers.
Hmm.
And so they could have been more she could be a part like more from anything from the comics. But I don't know. I don't.
From my perspective, as just like a non comic book reader, I thought the sister was pretty good. Fine.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong
yeah.
with her.
I mean, she takes over the 10 rings at the end, which is. And did you see? Did you wait? We'll get to that.
Yeah.
I'm rushing it.
I
I
was
knew I would do
saving
that.
that until later in the
Yeah, we'll save
podcast,
it. We'll
but
save
yeah.
it. Yeah, we'll save it.
All
Okay.
right.
Why don't you go ahead with your questions?
First one was about Katie. We covered that. She's not from the comics at all. Next up, I've got Razor Fist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say he's not in the comics.
He is from the comic.
He is from the comics.
He is.
I was
Yes.
thinking that Razor Fist was kind of like a making fun of, or a callback to Taserface?
One could argue that, but he's definitely in the comics. His name is actually Douglas Scott. He actually has a name. He came around from the comics. He's been around since 1981, and he died in a Deadpool comic in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Still alive at the end of this movie.
yeah, he in the comics he has two hands, but each hand has blades in his comics. So I don't know how he eats food.
Well, he probably has a detachable fork or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, it's funny. I thought he was fine. It was a good fight scene. But yeah, but listen, there's not a lot of comic stuff in here. There's some, but not a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Is Razor Fist associated with
Shang-Chi? He was in a Shang-Chi comics. Yeah,
Okay.
I think he first appeared in a Shang-Chi comic. Yeah.
All right, cool. Morris, the adorable little creature without a face, but has wings, is not in the comics.
Correct.
That is just Marvel's. Let's put something in here that we can merchandise.
They have to. They have to do it. They can't stop themselves. They can't stop themselves.
Yeah, those will be available at Build-A-Bear.
Yeah,
soon.
Yeah, they can't help it. Like as soon as we went to the forest and saw all those adorable creatures, I was like, they can't stop themselves. They have to sell. They gotta sell toys. They gotta sell plushies. They gotta do it. And that's just how it is. So I mean, at some point, you just gotta deal with it. But it is what it is.
All right. So now that we're at Morris, you know what's coming up next.
Yeah,
we've got to talk about it.
Sure.
What you think about this as a comic book reader?
Got it.
In this movie, we see the Mandarin again.
Yes.
The Mandarin that we saw in Iron Man 2? 3?
Yeah.
3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess this is Marvel's attempt at kind of rewriting their cinema history. What did you think about how the Mandarin showed up in this movie and how that was treated? Does it fix things for you?
Well, so
okay, I guess we should say before, like, you go into it, here's like what you need to have fixed, right? Because in Iron Man 3, the Mandarin was handled very poorly from a comic book reader's eyes because it was a very stereotypical Asian character in the comics. And instead of fixing that and just having a good Asian character in the comics, what they decided to do was this. At first, the Mandarin is, or the Ten Rings is associated with Middle Eastern terrorists, and then in Iron Man 3, the Mandarin is a British actor hired to play a part for a European bad guy. So, does this fix all of that for you?
And let's just stop and talk about how crazy this is. Like, I can't. Like, people will. You can write an essay on this, and I will say this before I get started. I will say this. Shout out to Marvel and Disney for understanding that the Mandarin character from the comics was racist as everything, and understanding that that character is going to be a problem, and understanding that they had to do a much better job in representing Asian and Chinese cultures, right? And so shout out to them for understanding to do that. So let's go back all the way back to Iron Man 1. Okay. In Iron Man 1, the Ten Rings were the group that kidnapped Tony Stark, right?
Right.
And we learned that they did it for as Obadiah Stane. He hired them to kidnap Tony, right? Because he wanted to kill him so he could take over the company. Now, there's some questions that's going to come up because was that the Ten Rings we have now, or was that a different Ten Rings? We don't know, and I think we should just ignore that for right now because they'll go solve that problem.
My guess is that's the Ten Rings we have now.
Yeah, it could be, but like if Obadiah Stane hired them, then he had associations with Shang-Chi's father. So there's a lot going on. And listen, Marvel's already probably thinking about how they can go back and talk about the connections between Iron Man and Shang-Chi, but we'll get to that. So then in Iron Man 3, what's his face? The main villain, what's his face? That's very specific. The main villain for Iron Man 3 hires what's his name again? The actor? I know his name is Trevor, but what's
Ben Kingsley.
Yes, they hired Ben Kingsley to play a Mandarin. Now you have to go back to when the Iron Man 3 trailers came out. Ben Kingsley was the Mandarin, and everybody said, you can't do this. You can't have, first of all, you can't have the Mandarin in the movie because he's racist. And second, you can't have Ben Kingsley, a white actor from Britain, playing an Asian man.
By the way, Ben Kingsley is Indian.
So
he is actually Asian, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ben Kingsley is not his birth name, but he is definitely, he passes for white.
Yeah, but there's so many problems with that. But then we find out that in Iron Man 3, it was a hedge, it was a fake out because he was an actor, right? He was, and I think Iron Man 3 was trying to do what Shang-Chi was trying to do, which is fix it, but he couldn't. Now, I don't know whose idea it was to bring Ben Kingsley into Shang-Chi and then bring all this back up and then finally close the loop. That was a risky move, and I think it paid off because Ben Kingsley is a great actor. He was really fun to watch.
Right.
And I mean, they talk about it. They say it's like the Shang-Chi's father says, you know, someone stole my idea, they stole my identity and used it to trick Americans, and they called him the Mandarin. They called him an orange, and he was saying, look at what they've done to me. Look at what old American comics did to Asian culture, right? And they put it out on the table. And once it's out on the table, you can look at it and understand, you know what, that was a problem. And I think they did a pretty good job. I think they finally figured out how to deal with this quote unquote Mandarin problem, and now it's done. In the comics, it's still lingering forever. It's going to be there forever. But in the movies, they've kind of settled it, and I think it's good. I think they did a pretty good job. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it wasn't really a problem for me as a not comic book reader because I didn't have all of the background that you did. So I think this was really for you guys, not for us casual Marvel movie watchers.
I agree. And
for us, it was just a good callback really to Iron Man 3 more than anything.
Yeah, and
you know how I don't like my movies to get mixed up? Like I don't like every movie to be the Avengers.
Yeah.
I think they did a pretty good job with this one. It's not like all the characters from other movies aren't taking away from this movie the way they have in some of the others.
I mean, they brought Wong in, and for obvious reasons, and they brought in the Abomination, and I think that...
All right, you say obvious reasons for bringing Wong in. What are the obvious reasons? Because...
To do two things. One, Wong is an Asian actor, so they wanted as many Asian actors in this movie as possible, and he's established. And then two, to make connections to the to Doctor Strange. And I got more to say about this. I guess I can say it now. Do you know how Iron Man has always been a linchpin for all the Marvel movies? Like he was in Spider-Man, he was in like Captain America: Civil War. It's always one kind of follow through, which is Iron Man.
Right.
They're doing that with Doctor Strange now. And Doctor Strange, so like Doctor Strange is in the Spider-Man movie coming up. He's going to be WandaVision's going to be connected to Doctor Strange. Whatever happens with Shang-Chi, it's definitely going to have some kind of Doctor Strange elements. And Marvel's planning the next big like Avengers Infinity War type of event, and they're doing it more purposely now than they did before. We're going to talk about that when we get to the end credits. But I thought I think they did. I think they have to world build and have to bring Shang-Chi into the Marvel universe. But I think they did it in a way that wasn't convoluted. I think they did it pretty smart. I mean, there was a lot of editorial risks here, especially bringing in Ben Kingsley like they did and bringing all that stuff back up and then trying to fix the Mandarin stuff. But they did it, and I think they did it well. And I think if they hadn't done it, they would have regretted it. And I think it worked great.
So basically what you're saying is that Doctor Strange and Wong they're now our R2-D2 and C3PO.
I wouldn't say that. I would say they're more like our Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. That's what I would say.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it.
There you have it. But no, you go see a lot more Doctor Strange stuff and a lot more Wong. Because like if you look at the Spider-Man trailer, Wong is leaving somewhere. Before he talks to Doctor Strange, he says, "Don't do the spell," and he leaves. And wherever he goes, it's going to be tied to Shang-Chi. Like it's going, like, so you might see Shang-Chi in the Spider-Man movie. You might just show up and say, "Hey, I'm Shang-Chi," and leave. I can see that. Like Marvel's doing this.
If that happens, Oh my god.
It could.
That will be making Spider-Man even more of what I don't want Spider-Man to be.
Let's wait. Listen, my faith in the Marvels renewed. If they can make Shang-Chi work like this, I have complete faith in the new Spider-Man movie. Like I really do. I think it's gonna be better than you think it is now. I'm pretty hyped.
I hope it is. I hope it is.
Well, give me some more. Give me some more questions.
All right, we already covered off the 10 rings.
No, we didn't.
We didn't. Okay. All right.
No.
What else are you gonna tell us about it?
The original 10 rings in the comics are finger rings. They each have a special
rings.
They each have a special power. Like you have an ice ring, you have a fire ring, you have all kinds of different rings on. And these rings are rings that go on your forearm. And listen, I was skeptical of these rings. I was like, these rings are stupid. Like this is a dumb idea that changed. And now I'm like all into these rings. I love these rings. I love how they play visually. I love how they worked. I love them. It was a smart move to change them. Good job, Marvel. Like. I was real skeptical of these rings being changed from the comics, but I am all on board with these now. I loved how visually they looked.
Yeah, this is one place where they made a change where they could have kept it and done some merchandising, but they changed it to where that's going to be much harder for them. Imagine if they had kept the rings; they could sell you 10 rings for your fingers.
You're still going to be able to buy those rings, Mike. You'll still be able to buy those rings. Don't worry. They're going to be in a nice little case, like that case he had.
Okay, yeah.
They're going to be a nice little case. They're going to be made out of metal, and you push a button, and they'll glow gold or glow blue. Don't worry, Marvel. You're going to be able to buy those rings. But I was real skeptical of those rings, but now I think they did. They look better. It just looks more kinetic. Like it looks more interesting to me. So
they can fly around and do stuff.
Yeah, I'm fine with the change. I'm fine with it.
And they can do the whole orange and blue thing.
Yeah, and two, like they just look cool from a fight perspective. Like I guess you use your fist to pull one off, and then you can use it like a whip. You can like shoot at something like a bullet. You can, it's like, and then when Shang-Chi took control of them, they were floating around him. Like he had, like, it's just like,
right.
It's so cool. Like if you're a kid right now, you're cutting out cardboard rings, and putting them on your arm, because like, it's just neat.
Yeah.
Keep going. What you got?
All right. When we watched the trailer, I assumed that Michelle Yeoh was Shang-Chi's mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you did this to avoid spoiling stuff for people while we were talking about the trailer, but you said, you assume that's his mother, but we don't know.
Yeah.
So did you know at that time that definitely wasn't his mother?
I knew that. No, I did not know. But I think that lately, and since we've been doing this podcast, I've grown pre-accustomed to being very careful about saying this is absolutely this versus I don't know, that could be this. So I think we did a pretty good job of hedging our bets there.
Okay, so you didn't know that his mother was dead, and that's
no
part
idea.
of the whole plot of this movie.
No idea. So
okay,
yeah.
All right. Well, you were right. Michelle Yeoh is not his mother. That's his auntie Ying Nan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're in a different universe, which is pretty crazy.
What do you mean?
Yalo, the place they fought, where the gate was, and where
Talo, I think, right?
Yeah, what's Talo? What all that stuff was. She said your universe. We stopped these guys from getting out into your universe, so it's a completely different universe. They said that in the movie several times.
Maybe the universe is on the other side of that hole.
No,
they plugged up.
They said specifically that Talo was in a different universe.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I missed that.
Yeah, but it's okay.
That seems weird.
I know. We don't. I know you have a hard time with like metaphysical conceptions of time and space. So
I think it's the way Marvel does it that I have a hard time with, because I watch Doctor Who. I have no problem with any of that. It's all timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. I was actually worried that that would get on your nerves, but it's okay. I do want to tell the readers right now that I was wrong about Fing Fang Fum. The dragon in the movie was not Fing Fang Fum.
Yeah, it's just a water dragon.
Yeah, which I'm kind of glad of. I'm glad they did that. That's fine. But the creatures that they fought, there is something from the comics kind of similar to that. They're called the Dwellers in Darkness. They appeared in a guess what comic they appeared in, Mike?
I looked at your show notes, so I know it's Doctor Strange.
There you go. It's more evidence that Doctor Strange is going to be a big part of MCU moving forward. So yeah, it's called the Fear Lords. So that's where they got the Dwellers in Darkness from, which is pretty cool. What'd you think of that huge dragon fight scene stuff? What'd you think?
It's pretty good. I think it kind of robbed us of a good end fight scene with Shang-Chi and somebody else, but
Yeah, but I mean, Shang-Chi shot the rings into the monster's chest and then like blew him up. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Like it's very fantastical. I mean, I don't know enough about Chinese movies right now, but from what I gather, that kind of stuff is like pretty popular. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up, but
it is a Chinese style dragon. You know, it's like a.
I thought the fight scene was. I thought the whole thing was crazy. Like it was like, what are you're fighting a massive dragon? And it's like, what are we doing? I thought it worked out pretty well. I liked it, but yeah, it could be a little too much. But I can't wait to see it again. I want to see it again on the small screen and really dig into it. But I thought it worked great.
All right. Speaking of the dragons, there's definitely other mythical creatures in this Ta Lo area. One thing that I thought was really cool is they have, if you've ever been to, there's this Chinese restaurant I used to go to when I was a kid, and it was so awesome because it was it was very stereotypical, like American Chinese restaurant at the time. The whole building was like themed out of China architecture, and you go inside and all the furniture and all that. But at the entrance, there were these two stone lions, I guess is what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And in Ta Lo, they have running around lions that are just like those, like Chinese lions that you'll see statues of everywhere.
I didn't even make that connection until just now. You're right. They do look just like that. Wow. Mm-hmm. I didn't even make that connection.
Any other like mythical creatures that like stood out to you?
The fox with the three tails, I thought was cool. The weird horse things, I thought was cool. But nothing else really stuck out to me.
Yeah, that fox. I think it's like I think there's a Korean creature that's like that. Because I saw Lovecraft Country on HBO, and that Korean fox creature with like many tails plays a part in there. So yeah, that
really? That sounds cool.
Must have some kind of a mythical background there for that one as well.
What kind of struck me is how, like, if you looked at Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War and like a lot of the other Avengers movies, they were huge set pieces, right? But when this movie, the final fight between Shang-Chi's father's forces and the people who are guarding Ta Lo, it was a small group. It wasn't a whole bunch of them. And even the place where all the different monsters and little creatures were, that whole area was kind of small as well. So it was interesting how they made the decision not to make it some massive thousands and thousands of armies and stuff like that. They just did a very small, more intimate fight between a very small group of people versus these crazy monsters. And I thought it worked. I don't know if it was a budget. I don't know if it's a budget thing, and probably not because Marvel has infinite money. But maybe it could just been like just a decision not to make it like not to make it over the top when we're fighting a massive sea dragon. I don't know.
Right.
I thought it worked. I thought it worked well.
Yeah. No, I didn't even think of that, but I guess that just seems like the size of a a remote Asian village like that. So they probably just went with that.
I did like the idea they did talk about how that the Ta Lo used to have massive cities that were destroyed. That was kind of cool. But yeah. Yeah. What else you got? You got anything else?
We're all coming up on the end now for me. You got anything that's earlier than that you want to talk about?
Let's see. I'm not really, no. No. I will say the fight scene between Shang-Chi and his father. If you okay, let's go back to the original fight scene between Shang-Chi's father and Shang-Chi's mother. Very Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh yeah.
For all you
Yep.
Zoomers out there who have never seen Crouching Tiger's Hidden Dragon, do yourself a favor and get on YouTube or find a bootleg copy because you guys don't do DVDs anymore. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon probably is one of my favorite movies of all time. I haven't watched in a while, and I definitely will. I will want to watch it again soon.
Yeah, guess who's in it?
Who? Oh yeah,
Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, she's in everything awesome. Like you put her in something that's great. I do want to say this. I am glad that we're seeing more Chinese and Asian actors and actresses instead of just the ones we always see. So I'm glad of that. But what I was gonna say is that fight scene was so connected to Crouching Tiger. It was like it was showing respect in that movie, and I thought it was so good. Like like the way she was moving the air and stuff like that. It was just like good kung fu movies, good fight movies like that. Like I would say kung fu movies want you to do those things, right? Like you want to fight kung fu, and like
Right.
I thought, and it was not in Shang-Chi. Those moves we don't get many of those moments, but those moments, that moment with the father and the mother fighting each other was just beautiful. And then we get the same thing with he did the same thing with Shang-Chi and his father. I thought that was well done too. And I like the fact that at the end, right before Shang-Chi's father dies, Shang-Chi finally broke to him. He said, your family needs you. And he was finally able to break free of the spell he was in. I thought that was real. It's a basic plot, and I thought, he's not really a villain. I would say that Shang-Chi's father has a lot going on. He could be construed as a villain, but at the end of the day, I think that it's just a complicated family drama. And I like that at the end, the children, mourn their father just like they wouldn't. He's not like at one point Shang-Chi's like, I'm going to kill my father, and then I'm so glad they decide not to do that and do something a lot more interesting and nuanced. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was good.
All right, we have two massive things. Actually have two massive things going on.
Before we get into the are you talking post credit scenes or what?
Yes, post credit scenes.
Before we do that, I just want to talk about what you thought about the this movie has bookends on it.
With the dinner scene?
The dinner scene. At the beginning they're at dinner with their friends, and at the end they're at dinner with their friends. What do you think of that?
I thought the first one was okay. It wasn't funny or anything like that, but then the last one was really great. And then Wong, of course, shows up. I thought that was awesome. And like at the end, when Wong says, "Come with me," like Shang-Chi and Katie, they get their stuff and they just walk through the portal, which is like a symbol of like you told us to try to do something more with our lives, and we're going to do that right now. Like we're going to like. I kind of like to segue that into the end credit scene. I like how Marvel was really trying to yell and scream of us and say Shang-Chi will be in more Marvel movies. Don't worry, he's going to come back. So I thought it was good.
Do you think Katie's going to be a superhero in future movies?
I don't think she's going to be a superhero, but she's not going anywhere. People like Awkwafina did a great job. She's going to be in a lot more movies, and she's definitely going to be in this. She's going to be in. She's probably signed a 3-movie deal. But she's going to be in a lot of stuff. She's great.
Think she's going to be like a Hawkeye type character?
No, I don't think she's going to be like that. But I think she's going to be like she's going to continue to be like the Rick Jones character that I've talked about in the comics a lot. Rick Jones represents the everyman, and I think that she's going to represent the everyman moving forward. Like she's going to be like, "This is crazy. What we're doing. This is crazy. What we're doing." And I think that's cool. We need someone like that, and we've never had somebody like that in any movies. Not really. So it's gonna be good to have someone that we can like look at and be like, help us understand what's going on.
Okay.
With the first end credit scene, what happens, Mike? Tell us what happens. The first.
You're gonna have to do that, man. I do not.
Why?
I do not remember.
Okay. So the first one, you have Shang-Chi, Katie, and Wong looking at the 10 rings, and they're studying them, and apparently Wong has done something to make the 10 rings like project some kind of image. Then we get the bombshell of the bombshells. We have Bruce Banner in his human form, no longer the Hulk, and he still has his arm in a sling, there's so many crazy things with that. But then we also get Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers is right next to them, and they're all looking at the rings and trying to figure out what they are. And at some point, Captain Marvel has to go. And this is a really short thing, but Captain Marvel's always been sort of standoffish. But in this scene, she's like, I really have to go. I'm sorry. It was so nice to meet you. And then she leaves. And I thought that was nice. Like, she has a nice attitude right there. But then Bruce Banner's like, hey, welcome to the fun house, and then leaves. But there's two things there. One, something's happened to Bruce Banner because the last time we saw him, he was the Hulk, and now he's not.
He was like the Professor Hulk type character,
and now he's
where
not.
It's both Bruce and Hulk combined.
Exactly. And then second, his arm is still hurt. So it's like, how long has this been happening? Like, how long is it always going to be this way? Like, Marvel, I don't know whose genius idea that was, but that opens up a huge bunch of questions that we hopefully will get answered when She-Hulk comes out.
And when did he hurt his arm?
In Avengers Endgame, he used his he used the Infinity Stones to bring back everybody, but it destroyed his arm when he did it. Don't worry, Mike. We're going to do a 2-hour podcast on Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War, so you will have plenty of time to talk about those things.
Right.
So, like, there's been rumors that his arm is always going to be screwed up, and when people saw the Abomination in the Shang-Chi trailers, people started questioning where the Hulk was. I think, and this is just me talking out my butt, I think that Marvel has huge plans for the Hulk, and by bringing in Banner right there, they're signifying that they got plans, but we don't know what those plans are yet. Because they wouldn't bring him into that movie, into this end credit scene, if they didn't want us to speculate and ask a lot of questions, and like, I thought it was really well done. And we do know that Captain Marvel's got a movie coming out soon too. So
speaking of the Abomination, did you catch that Wong referred to the Abomination as Emil when they were fighting?
Yeah, it was great.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. So I don't know what they plan on doing. They got a lot of different things going on, but whatever they're planning is more purposeful and more thought out than what they did the last series. So if you look at, I'm going to call it the Infinity Stone series. The movies from Iron Man 1 to Infinity Endgame, all those movies are the Infinity series. And now we're into a new series that we don't know yet. But there has been rumors that the Secret Wars could be involved. We don't know. So it's still up in the air. We still have a lot of movies and TV shows to get through. Hawkeye's gonna come out soon. Spider-Man's gonna come out soon, and so we still have to wait. But I was real hyped seeing Banner in a normal form, but his arm still hurt, was really cool. But apparently the rings had some kind of signal that was projecting. They were calling to something. So the next time we see Shang-Chi,
some kind of a homing signal.
Yeah. So the next time we see Shang-Chi, they're going to go after that. So we haven't seen the last of the rings yet. So I think that's cool.
Okay.
Then the second one, I forgot what the second. Oh, the second one is we see
is about his sister.
Yeah, his sister.
In the movie, Shang-Chi said that his sister went to go shut down the 10 rings.
Yes. Yeah, but in fact, she took over the 10 rings.
Right.
And Marvel said, you will see the 10 rings again.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Like, so let me ask you, is it going to be their own movie? Is it going to be a series? What's it going to be? Like, what is it?
I don't know, but I think it would kind of be cool for them to be a bad guy through a series of Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
Not just one and done.
Yeah, dude, you're so right. You're so right. Like, all of a sudden, the 10 rings are a problem, and like that does two things. One, it gives us a villain that we can deal with on a regular basis, but also it allows us to be connected to Shang-Chi. Like, what if the 10 rings are in the new Hawkeye series? Right? Oh, dude, yeah,
yeah.
You know, that would be cool. And then like maybe Shang-Chi can guest star or something. Yeah, like, but like, I've watched a lot of Marvel movies, and I've watched a lot of not just the Marvel series that's been recent, but like when I'm talking about Spider-Man and other movies as well. I have never seen a movie like Shang-Chi that has not only been good on its own right, but also primed and prepped more movies. Like, how many movies did prime here? 4? Like on its own. And so
But it doesn't really feel heavy-handed the way that
it does exactly, and like it is a master stroke. Like they nailed it, and now they get to do something with the Ten Rings. They get to do more Shang-Chi. They showed us they might do stuff with the Hulk more. They showed that they primed us for Captain Marvel. Like they showed more stuff with Wong, and Wong's by himself. He's not with Doctor Strange, which is also cool. Like this well done. Like I can't praise it high enough. It's just really well done.
I do like how they set it up so that her sister takes over the Ten Rings at the end.
Me too.
I mean, she has a troubled relationship with her brother, but they were getting along fairly well. They definitely helped save our universe from the Dwellers in Darkness. Together. But they placed a few hints in the movie to where it doesn't feel. It is a twist at the end of the movie, but it isn't a twist that feels like it's unnatural or it's something the character wouldn't have done. She said, early in the movie that if she couldn't be part of her father's empire, she'd start her own, and she started a fighting empire. So
and let's not assume that the Ten Rings are going to be villainous. We don't know. They could be. We don't know. Like just because they were training and whatever at the end. And because the Ten Rings have always been bad, we don't know what they're going to do. So
that's a good point.
It could be very ambiguous. But what I'm seeing is that Disney and Marvel understand that they have some good things cooking in this kitchen, and they want to, as Marvel and Disney do, they want to capitalize on it. So, like that.
I do like how she kind of redid the base there. There's like lots of cool graffiti on it.
That was kind of neat.
And half of the warriors are women.
Yeah, that was rad. So it's gonna be some good stuff. I'm really like whatever they're going to do with the Ten Rings. I'm pretty excited by it. And like. Shout out once again from them taking something that was very obscure and weird to making it big and awesome. And I've complained on this podcast that Marvel is moving too far away from the comic roots. I'm starting to think this is one of those times where they did move away far from the comic roots, but it was a success. It was a good thing. Now, can they continue to do that? We'll have to wait and see. But I like what I saw in this, and we'll have to see what's next. I mean, I'm not going to say that Marvel is perfect and like everything they do is gold, but I will say that this movie was something that was sorely needed. I didn't know how much I needed a Marvel movie to be this good. And like Black Widow was good, but not nearly as good as this. So there you go.
Yeah. I've got one last thing before we start wrapping it up.
Sure.
All right. So when we watched the trailer, I was like, there's this one ninja that stands out. It's like really has an extra outfit. It's got the face mask with all the painting on it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't know, or you said you didn't know at the time who that was.
Yep.
Is that true, or were you like trying to keep spoilers from us?
I have no idea. I still don't know who that is.
Okay. This movie is kind of weird because there is definitely one ninja that stands out. Now, in the movie, that one ninja with the face mask and all the paint on it and everything was a key part of Shang-Chi's training.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's the part they could be playing in the movie. But as I looked at the cast on IMDb, that ninja has a name called Death Dealer.
And
it makes me think there's probably another cut of this movie where that character had more of a role to play than what they did in the final cut.
But hang on, I'm looking into my databases, and there is something with Death Dealer, but the problem is with this character, he's so like anybody could wear a costume and a mask like that. He could be anybody, and so
well, that's kind of good, right?
Yeah,
100%. That's what you wanted from Taskmaster that you didn't get.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, but yeah, there is it is a Death Dealer type character, but the thing is, the movie never says he's Death Dealer, and the costume is not something I recognize from the Marvel comics, so it's just kind of hard to see.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll link to more info about Death Dealer in the show notes, but I just thought that was interesting. It seems like
It kind of feels like I missed it. To be honest with you. Which is fine. You know, I'm not infallible.
No, it seems like the role that character was supposed to play changed while they were making the movie.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. I wish that they had a more definitive costume, but they didn't. So it is. Yeah, that one's on me. I'll take that hit. All right. So good, bad. You like it? Do you like it more after our conversation, or do you feel the same?
No, I mean I liked it. Let's not get it twisted. I liked the movie. Do you think maybe I may have been a little overhyped for it? Maybe. I was expecting more fighting?
Do you think this movie is too violent for your kids?
No, not my kids are kind of they're middle-aged kids.
Okay, good. I'm really curious. I really want to know when you show this to your kids. I really want to see if they really like it. I'm really curious about that.
I think they will. I think they'll like it a lot.
And listen, listeners, if you liked Shang-Chi, if you watched it and you loved all the Kung Fu fighting stuff, there are literally thousands of Kung Fu movies that you can go check out that are also very fun. So
start with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and then go to earlier movies from there.
Yeah, just keep going. And shout out to all my Generation X brothers and sisters who watched Saturday morning midday Kung Fu movie cinemas on Saturdays. So there you go. We made it, guys. We finally got here.
That must be like a city kid thing or something.
I guess so. I was in North Carolina when I was watching this.
In movie theaters or on TV?
No. It was a TV. It was a station. What's the station's name? WJY. It was in Charlotte. It was Charlotte.
JZY?
Yeah, WJZY. They on Saturdays from noon till 6, they showed monster movies at noon, Kung Fu movies at 2. No, they showed cowboy movies at noon, monster movies at 2, and Kung Fu movies at 4.
Okay. I did not know that.
You didn't? What were you doing when you were a kid? What were you?
I was probably outside riding my bike.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't doing that. I was watching Kung Fu movies. It's not a city thing. It's definitely that outdoor kid versus indoor kid thing.
Gotcha.
That's funny. So there you go. Shang-Chi. Go see it. I recommend it.
Yeah, go see it. Well, actually, go see it before you listen to this. So hopefully you have not listened to this entire podcast.
I think that people can still go. People can listen to this podcast and still go see it if they because we spoiled some stuff, but there's a lot of stuff you have to see and But I can't wait until we do our rankings of the Marvel movies at some point. So because
it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a great discussion about where this fits. All right, Mike, where can people find us and listen to us?
We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Overcast, we're on Spotify, and everywhere else you can find podcasts. If we're not on your favorite player, let us know. We'll get that fixed. We're also on YouTube. We post some clips up there of tasty tidbits that come out of the podcasts. It's good stuff.
Yep. And also we're on Twitter. I'm at JYSLACKS. We also have a Twitter for the show, and Mike has a Twitter as well. Find us there. And I want to issue a challenge to our listeners send us tweets of cool Kung Fu movie clips. There's actually a Twitter account that does little short Kung Fu movie clips. Really fun. So I would love to see your favorite Kung Fu movies.
They can hit us up on Twitter at Super Sideshow.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I think that's it. Yeah.
No, we have to tell them to hit the share button.
Oh yeah, hit the share button right now. Send it to 2 of your friends.
Right.
Send it to 2 of your friends. And oh yeah, one more thing. Thank you to my friend Danny Janad. I think it's Janad or Janelle. I don't know. Anyway, thanks Danny for going to the movie with me. I really had a fun time. There you go. Danny loved this movie too. He really
I love that you don't know the pronunciation of your friend's last name.
I don't know. It's hard to pronounce. I don't say his last name often, but Danny, thanks for going. Love you. Love Felix. Love Kaylee. Anyway, there you go.
All right. So what's up next for us?
I guess it's Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah. So the next movie is Spider-Man Homecoming.
But we're also doing a What If,
and then we're doing What If in between.
Yeah. So What If we record What If on Thursdays, and then we're going to do Spider-Man Homecoming on next Sunday. And wow, Spider-Man Home. I feel like this is taking us forever.
Spider-Man, long time coming.
Yeah, when you first proposed that we do a podcast for every Marvel movie, I was like, well, we'll get this done in a couple weeks. Nope, it's taking forever.